Welcome to Overeaters Anonymous, podcast number 3. This podcast will focus on individual stories of recovery. Throughout this podcast, we'll be referring to Overeaters Anonymous by its acronym, OA.
Joining us is Overeaters Anonymous member Mary. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us, how long have you been a member of OA?
I've been a member for 5 years and 3 months.
What was a major motivation for you to actually finally get in touch with OA?
I was visiting with my mother out of state and was very nervous about seeing her because I had gained so much weight and looked so unhealthy before getting there. And when I got there, I could tell that she was very distressed with my appearance and with the way that my eating disorder was obviously going. And she told me she really thought that I needed to do something about it. And at that particular point, I was ready to hear that message. I hadn't been ready at other times before. And so I promised her that when I returned home, I would do something. I hadn't decided what that would be yet, but I gave it a lot of thought and decided that I would give OA a try.
You hear a lot of people discuss with problems like this being afraid or not feeling secure and safe in admitting their problem or that they should handle it on their own. How do you feel OA has helped you in regard to those?
Well, first of all, one of the wonderful things about OA that was so apparent to me at my first meeting was that one is among people with the exact same problem. And I really felt all my life that I was some kind of a total oddball. Even other people that were very seriously overweight as I was did not seem to have the same kind of problems that I did about food. All of the conventional wisdom on the subject of nutrition and weight loss, all of the things that you read in the popular press, that was all information that I understood, that I could identify with, but it wasn't talking to me and it wasn't addressing my experience because my eating was so very, very out of control, so very dysfunctional. And I just didn't think anybody else did the same thing. I don't understand myself why I didn't weigh 500 pounds considering the amount of food that I would consume in a day. And so I really felt totally isolated. And I came to OA and I heard people at my very first meeting talking about the same kinds of behaviors that I had been engaged in, talking about behaviors that were even more bizarre. And these were healthy-looking people. They were happy-looking people. They were not overweight. They talked about how OA had helped them, how OA had really saved their lives in some cases. And so needless to say, I just felt tremendously relieved to be involved in something like this and to have finally found it. It's always reassuring to know that you're not the only one.
So Mary, can you tell us a little bit about your story, about how bad it was for you? Or
I guess you could say I was a very dedicated overeater. My whole life was focused around food. Although I had a job and had a family, everything ultimately came back to food, planning around eating, making arrangements to eat to excess, not being able to stop under any circumstances. It was as if the thermostat or something that most people have to tell them when they're full, to tell them when they've had enough. Either I never had one or it got broke at some place along the line. I was never really felt satisfied, even if I had gorged myself to excess. And at one point I was making a rather long commute to work. I would stop probably 2 or 3 times on the way home to buy food.
can you describe for us one of the typical OA meetings that you go to?
One of the things that I really like about OA meetings is the fact that no matter where you go in the country, and I am told in the world, there is very much that is similar. We have standard formats, we have standard practices, we have our traditions that are upheld everywhere in Overeaters Anonymous. So wherever I go, if I attend a meeting, I'm always finding something that's familiar to me and something that's very comfortable. On the other hand, I live in a medium-sized city, so our meetings tend to be medium-sized to small. If I go to a large city, I find myself in a room with maybe 50 or 60 people, but it's still very, very much the same. And one of the things that I really like about OA is it's very different from group therapy. I think that was what I thought I might be getting into, and it isn't. It's completely safe, in my opinion. You share and you talk about your experience, you talk about what's happened to you, you share your hope with other people. No one interrupts you, no one comments on what you had to say. You don't have to defend what you're saying. There are no arguments. We just each share in our turn. If we are inspired by something that another person said, that might make us think about something that we would like to discuss, but we do not confront one another. We do not directly allude to what one person has said. And that really makes it possible for all of the attendees to feel that this is a place where they can come and they can talk freely, and they know that they will be listened to. And then on the other hand, you never know who is going to say the thing that you need to hear. And that's so beautiful. You come in possibly thinking about an issue, and a person right there in that room will address that for you and tell you something that you can really use.
Tell us what it's like going through the program, and specifically the 12 steps.
Well, the 12 steps, I think, are a roadmap to learning how to live your life. I think that a lot of people don't need the 12 steps because they already had this worked out. But I find that the 12 steps have made it possible for me to completely retool or re-gear the way that I operate. And we are addressing this on a physical, spiritual, and emotional levels. And I found that it's very, very helpful in all of those respects. Over the time, I have thought about it a lot, and it seems to me that what was going on before I came to OA was that there was a person who was maybe emotionally 5 or 6 years old that was managing all of my adult affairs. And that was a pretty, stressed out, worn down kind of person. I really feel that it was probably at about that age that a lot of my emotional development had gotten arrested for some reason. And the steps have helped me just put myself back in order. At first, the sequence of the steps to somebody who's just casually reading them may not sound particularly logical. It may not appear that one step logically leads to the next one, but there is a real beauty in how they are organized and the sequence in which you learn things about yourself and learn how to live with others and learn how to improve your relationships with other people.
What's the one strength OA has given you?
We talk about improving our conscious contact with God as we understand Him. And there are a lot of ramifications to that, but basically what has happened to me is that I have some direction in my life that I never had before. I understand so many things that were just not accessible to me in the past. And my whole way of thinking has changed in rather dramatic ways. And I find that all I really need to do is to try and understand what it is that God would want me to do. And that's it. There's really nothing else. And it's made my life so easy.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mary?
One of the things that we do when we greet newcomers at the meetings that I attend is to tell them to come to 4 or 5 or 6 meetings before they decide if OA is for them. As I mentioned before, there are many, many similarities between one meeting and another, but also every OA group has its own personality. And I think it's very important that a person who's considering doing this go to many meetings, talk to a lot of people, meet a lot of people in OA, and find a place where you're really comfortable. We refer to the meeting that we tend to prefer is our home meeting, and that's really the way I think of it. I think of it as being at home, and that's what I'd like to encourage people to do, is to give OA a try and to hang out for a while with us.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with us, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. For more information on Overeaters Anonymous, please go to www.oa.org or call the World Service Office in the United States at area code 505-891-2664.